Lesson 36 of A Course in Miracles. My holiness envelops everything I see. My holiness envelops everything I see. We're going to go through this. Yesterday, this is coming on the heels of yesterday's lesson, lesson 35. My mind is part of God's. I am very holy. And then continuing with the idea of holiness, my holiness envelops everything I see. Paragraph 1, today's idea extends the idea for yesterday from the perceiver to the perceived. You are holy because your mind is part of God's. And because you are holy, your sight must be holy as well. Quote, sinless, unquote, means without sin. You cannot be without sin a little. You are sinless or not. If your mind is part of God's, you must be sinless, or a part of his mind would be sinful. Your sight is related to his holiness, not to your ego, and therefore not to your body. Paragraph 2. 4 3 to 5 minute practice periods are required for today. Try to distribute them fairly evenly and make the shorter applications frequently to protect your protection throughout the day. The longer practice periods should take this form. 3. First, close your eyes and repeat the idea for today several times slowly. Then open your eyes and look quite slowly about you, applying the idea specifically to whatever you note in your casual survey. Say, for example, and these are all examples that are in italics, my holiness envelops that rug, my holiness envelops that wall, my holiness envelops these fingers. My holiness envelops that chair. My holiness envelops that body. My holiness envelops this pen. Several times during these practice periods, close your eyes and repeat the idea to yourself. Then open your eyes and continue as before. Paragraph 4. For the shorter exercise periods, close your eyes and repeat the idea. Look about you as you repeat it again, and conclude with one more repetition with your eyes closed. All applications should, of course, be made quite slowly, as effortlessly and unhurriedly as possible. All right, we'll go through this now, paragraph by paragraph, talk a little bit about the nuances. Let's start with paragraph 1. Here we go. Today's idea extends the idea for yesterday from the perceiver to the perceived. Okay, so yesterday we were turning it from the perceived to the perceiver. We were turning it back onto our mind. My mind is very holy because everything has been about seeing. But yesterday we started to turn it back to my mind, not my seeing, but my mind. My mind is very holy. I'm sorry, my mind is part of God. I am very holy. And today, my holiness envelops everything I see. So now we're going back from the perceiver to the perceived. So from our mind to what we see outside of our mind. also what we see in our mind, but also what we see outside of our mind. You are holy because your mind is part of God's. And because you are holy, your sight must be holy as well. Sinless, quote, sinless means without sin. You cannot be without sin a little. So holiness, obviously, you kind of have to extrapolate a little bit. Jesus means that holiness means without sin, that holy without sin. We are holy without sin. If we have any sin, then we are not holy. And we're not holy without sin. We are holy without sin. There's a joke there somewhere, but you cannot be without sin a little. This is something that Jesus says throughout the Course. There's no compromise, right? It's either this or that. I don't know if you ever heard that rap song, Black Sheep. This or that. This or that. What do you want, right? You can't have both. You can only have one or the other. Jesus says at one point, vision or judgment is your choice, but not both. Right? Vision or judgment is your choice, but not both. You can't have both at the same time. You can't see sin outside of yourself and see with Christ's vision. You're not seeing with Christ's vision. If you see any sin, if you have any judgment, then you are in the ego. Okay, so you are sinless or not. If your mind is part of God's, you must be sinless, or a part of his mind would be sinful. Your sight is related to his holiness, not to your ego, and therefore not to your body. Let's read that line one more time. Your sight is related to his holiness, not to your ego, and therefore not to your body. All right. Paragraph 2, 4, 3 to 5 minute practice periods are required for today. It's a little longer. These practice periods are getting longer. Try to distribute them fairly evenly and make the shorter applications frequently to protect your protection throughout the day. The longer practice periods should take this form. To protect your protection throughout the day. It's an interesting phrasing. Paragraph 3. First, close your eyes and repeat the idea for today several times, slowly. Right? My holiness envelops everything I see. Then open your eyes and look quite slowly about you, applying the idea specifically to whatever you note in your casual survey. Say, for example, my holiness envelops that rug, my holiness envelops that wall, my holiness envelops these fingers, my holiness envelops that chair, my holiness envelops that body, my holiness envelops this pen. Several times during these practice periods, close your eyes and repeat the idea to yourself. Then open your eyes and continue as before. So you're doing it both outwardly and inwardly. We could talk for a moment about this interesting word, envelop. The word envelop is an interesting one. It's an interesting choice of words. It could say, my holiness covers everything I see, or my holiness includes everything I see, or my holiness pervades everything I see, but Jesus chose this word envelop. Envelop also has the meaning of to embrace, right? It's all embracing. When we envelop someone, we embrace them, right? We hug them or we take them in. So it might have that meaning as well. Paragraph 4. For the shorter exercise periods, close your eyes and repeat the idea. Look about you as you repeat it again and conclude with one more repetition with your eyes closed. All applications should, of course, be made quite slowly, as effortlessly and unhurriedly as possible. This is something Jesus has been saying, but here he says it a little bit, he do it slowly, do it effortlessly, and unhurriedly. Because that's where we're going with all this, is that this becomes almost like matter of fact, that it's like second nature. It just becomes such a part of us that, and we're not in any rush, we're not in any hurry, we don't have any worry. We are just living more and more and more in a state of presence, in a state of acceptance, in a state of all-embracing acceptance of what is, without judgment. This is where this is taking us. This might not be where we are at this moment, but this is where this is all going. So that we are living more and more in our true self, which would be the mind of God, basically. Our minds are joined with each other, and our minds are joined with God, and that has never changed. And so we're just awakening to that fact. We're remembering that truth. And as we do this work, and the ego mind fades more and more into the background, it ultimately will dissolve completely. I think as long as we're here in the world, in the body, there is a what's the word? residual ego or temporary ego that is there. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to function in this world. Provisional, the word that I was looking for is a provisional ego. We have a provisional ego. This is something I heard long ago. This is not in the course. But the idea is that there are masters who are living in their body, but they are at the level where they are not at all living according to their ego. They still have an ego, and the ego is a provisional ego. The ego is there only to help them to do what they need to do in order to be in the world and to teach and to continue the work of salvation in the world. And that's where we're all headed with this. And again, Jesus does not use that term, a provisional ego, but in so many words, he does say it. That we're getting to the point where we just use the body as a means of communicating love and forgiveness to others, and that's all. We don't use the body for any other means except for that. Definitely not to make anyone feel guilty or judgment or attack or anything like that, but only to live in a state of holy presence. And that's I think that's a little much, we're all maybe warming up to that. Not everyone is there. There may be very few, if any. I'm sure there are a number of people in the world that are at that level where they are living in a state of pure presence. But I think most of us have some kind of fear or we don't like that idea of what that might even look like. We don't see ourselves as going there just yet, at least. We're warming up to the idea. So that was my own spin on it a little bit there at the end. But my holiness envelops everything I see. Remember that this is it's a required course, but you take your time, as much time as you need, right? Take all the time and space that you need to go through the curriculum. And the course is just, as it says, one of many thousands of valid paths. It's not the only. There's a universal curriculum. There's a universal, you could say, journey back home to the place that we never left. There's many ways to get there. There are many valid ways to get there. The course is just presenting one way to do it. Those who have found the course generally take it as their way because they felt like they were led to the course. I felt that way myself. I felt like I was led to the course, and so I'm using it as my main path. But there are many ways to get there. So anyway, that lesson 36. My holiness envelops everything I see. Tomorrow, lesson 37. My holiness blesses the world. All these lessons coming up are about holiness. Holiness, holiness, holiness. And so we'll see you soon. Thank you for listening, and enjoy.